It's Rick without the K. James presents In My Opinion Podcast.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching. Also wanted to ask you, because I do watch your podcast, great podcast. You had Ryan Davis on.
Yeah.
And Ryan has done this podcast. And we talked a little bit about it because I enjoyed you guys' episode a lot.
That was one of my favorite episodes.
I enjoyed it, and I told him, I said, it was meaningful because I don't have a great relationship with my mom. Mm-hmm. So when Ryan brought up his altered relationship,
yeah.
I was like, it hit home, bro. And when he did my podcast, he goes, you're telling me every mom is a good mom? Every mom? Right? And that I was like, yeah. And then you talked about your stepdad on it, right? So my question to you, Gary, is do you have a great relationship with your mother? And again, I'm not trying to start anything.
No, I don't.
But
we haven't talked in 6 years.
Oh, so
yeah. You got to realize, like, I had one brother pass away of a heroin overdose. The other one overdosed, and I don't know what's going on with him. He's like, he was a vegetable for a while, and he came out of it, and now he's not the same person. Like, he's just slow. He's just slow now. And they both were drug addicts, and I didn't use drugs. So I think a lot of times as a parent, you like protect those kids that you feel need protected, but it's hard to hear the truth about your family. So my stepdad is not a good person. He was imprisoned. He used to do heroin. And then I got two other brothers that did heroin. And so I don't do drugs. And when I would be honest about our family dynamic, it's almost like, how dare you? How dare you talk about our family? I'm telling the truth about your family. And she don't like that. So I kind of got ostracized from the family.
And I guess I'm asking you on a more personal part of this question because I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, as a kid, you must have looked at it like, because you didn't have such a great relationship with your stepdad, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, why didn't my mom protect me from that? And I'm not saying that,
no, she should have.
But because I'm having the same thing with my relationship now with the woman that I'm at, and her ex didn't treat one of her kids right, and now her kid's rebelling against her. But she's like, yeah, she's mad because I didn't stick up for her back in the days, but that was the past. And I was like, no, like, I've sided with your kid because you are her parent. Like, you got to take that understanding to realize that meant something to her. That, and I go, where, I've been divorced a couple times, and I look at it where I'm like, man, that's the one thing. That's the reason why is I said nobody will ever mistreat either one of my kids. Like, I'm sorry, like those are my kids, So I just wonder if that had a profound effect on you because I have listened to you just recently on the Breakfast Club as well, and everything that you're going through, man, it's got to be rough, from coming from that and then dealing with what you're dealing with now. I'm just hoping that you're taking it easy and taking care of yourself, man. So,
well, it's funny. It's like, since I interviewed on the Breakfast Club, like, me and my ex are actually civil again. Like, we're talking, we're working the numbers out in the divorce, and we finally just said, and I just said, what do you need? This is stupid. This has gone on too long. I'm just ready to move forward. And so it's not perfect, me and my ex.
But it's better.
But it's the best it's been since it got announced, the divorce. We're actually cordial. We're talking, laughing. Every now and then you'll have these, well, you did this, you did this, you did this. That's natural. But, I just, now it's like the most important thing is just trying to get that relationship back with my kids, because I love them to death. It's just, for whatever reason, they're not speaking to me because of the divorce, but they had to see what their mom went through in the divorce, right?
Yeah.
Because I was the one that basically left the house. So they had to see everything she went through. So now I'm looking at it from a different point of view, like, oh, right or wrong, there's some trauma there that I made happen. You know what I mean? For whatever the reason is, they saw their mom struggling, and I was a part of that. And so regardless of whether
have you started talking to your kids?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But she's talking to them, and then she's
trying to be the bridge for you,
breaking that barrier down, like your dad, because she made a good point. She was talking to me about my daughter, and my daughter's in college.
Okay.
And she's gonna definitely be like some kind of social activist in some way. So she's very into prison reform and guys on death row that are innocent, trying to get them out and stuff. So my ex brought up to her, she goes, you're big into second chances with prison system and stuff like that. And she goes, your dad didn't do half the things these guys that you're really campaigning for to get out of jail did, regardless, right? She goes, your dad didn't do that, so you don't think he deserves a second chance also? So I think it's got her thinking, at least, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't, it's almost like you can't be a religious person and say forgive people, but you're holding grudges also.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm glad to hear that it's veering to a different direction, and that, because sometimes, like I said, I've been through two. So and the first divorce, I actually had kids with the woman, and then the second one, just even though we didn't have kids, it didn't veer. And it took me a while, it took me a while to get back to some kind of norm. And this is probably the best life has been. But, I talked to everybody. We were having that conversation downstairs with one of the bartender earlier. And I go, man, you don't understand, man. And that's where I felt like we might be from the same cut. I go, you realize, like, I've been on my own since I was 15, like, and there's a disconnect between my family. And I said, so people think I might have an attitude, but I standoffish. I'm real standoffish. I build this wall because I realized, like, the people that were supposed to be there for me and guide me didn't. I said, so, but if you know me, I'm the most, I'm ride or die with you. Like, so sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, what is that person going through? Why are they that way? And I don't feel like a lot of people do that enough. So
it's tough, like, to take responsibility for your own actions, like, because I think, especially when you're going through a divorce, you're in the blame game. Well, you did this, and it's really hard to take a step back and be like, well, how could I have did something different, regardless of what that person did? How could I have done things different? And it took me a minute, like, okay, if my kids see their mom struggling and I'm part of the reason, I go, that's tough. And also they're finding stuff out about me on social media that they didn't know, that I still feel like they didn't need to know, but at this point it's too late. So it's like, now I'm not the person they thought I was. When I was kind of perfect. I was a perfect dad, so to speak. You know what I mean? And they're finding out, Dad's not perfect. He's got flaws. And that's hard on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of blew up that whole perfect world. Like, we basically had the perfect family, and I was unhappy, and then she was unhappy also. But it was just like, when you blow it up, the kids are the ones, like, picking up the debris, kind of, so to speak.
Yeah.
So I gotta
Speaking about the divorce, I wanted to ask only because when you were on the Breakfast Club, the whole serving of the paperwork is funny to me. And I was literally writing a joke about it myself, where, like, I'm 43, right? So I've dealt with a few things. And I'm coming at that topic from the part that most people don't understand about getting served and what it's about. And sometimes...
stressful.
Oh, definitely. Where, you talk about it a little bit, where I'm coming from just the standpoint on, like, what you need to know, because most people didn't know anything about being served.
I didn't. So the divorce happened. I was like, what's going on here? How did they get me? How can they almost get me? Where do I gotta have my eyes open? Man, I was on the run, and, like, even when I would get on a plane, I would be at airports with, like, a hoodie up. I was at the Miami airport one time, hoodie up, pants. It was like it was 30 degrees out, and I was in the corner, like, my had the string like this, like, sees my eyes. I'm just like this. So anybody come near me, I'll be like, don't. I was rude. I was straight up rude to people because you don't know if somebody's a process server. So I'm like, Gary, I go.
So who's the one who schooled you? It was your attorney then?
Yeah, my attorney told me everything. All right. What I learned is all about the judges. If you do go to trial, you got to make sure you got a lawyer that has a relationship with the judge, because the judge ends up making the final decision.
Oh, definitely.
So
I think
make
luckily
sure.
on your part, man, I went through it with kids, so your kids are grown. Like
Yeah.
you're okay on that part, but the other, you know, and I heard the podcast between you, Faison, and Russell Peters, the wombat, right?
Yeah.
Boy, Charlie Murphy, my main man, Rick James. That's the one you think, the comedian Rick James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying, I can't breathe.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.